Guys,
2, 1. Josh Lee, how you doing, man?
hey, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good myself. So, for everybody who doesn't know, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I am Joshua, and I actually go by Joshua, and I'm a full-time writer and hobbyist, and just jack of all trades.
All right, cool. So have you always been an author, or did you go to college for that, or is that a just a thing you did?
Uh, it started out like in middle school, I think, writing like video game fan fiction and stuff like that with friends, and then it just turned into a. Eventually, I would do it, and then I became more or less retired and just kind of did it full time.
Okay, cool. Retired from what? I think you said I think military. What branch?
Yeah, I was in the Marines for a couple of years.
Okay, cool. So what happened with that? Was that just like you just served your term and got out, or
Yeah, I actually did like 3.5 years. So when I say retired, obviously I'm not old enough to be full on retired. I was medically retired. So after the military, got the disability going. So now I can kind of do what I need to.
okay, cool. What caused that? Hopefully you weren't hurt or anything.
Not like overseas or nothing like that. Actually, I got hurt in my hometown. I was waiting orders and got in a vehicle accident with a train.
Jeez.
And yeah, you can't really serve active in that condition.
No, you can't. So you're an author. You don't do anything else besides just writing books, right? You did because a lot of people who write books are like, oh, I still work at Walmart 9 to 5. So you're a full-time author.
Yeah, I tried streaming and stuff like that, but as far as like career job outside, no, I don't do any of that. I just write and kind of go with the flow.
Just living the dream, because I can think of 100 people
Yeah.
off the top of my head that would literally weave yarn just to do that for a living.
I tell you, it's got its ups and downs. And like the best part of not needing a job is, I mean, I can kind of wake up when I want to, go to bed when I want to, and I plan as I go. The downside is I'm the only one I know that has that life. So when I hit somebody up, I'm like, yo, you want to go do this? They're at work or they got responsibilities, and you know.
I think we know one person that would love to hang out as much as humanly possible, but you have to come to him.
Yeah, yeah, most likely.
Yeah, we don't want to say any names, but we know the guy.
Yeah, it happens.
It does happen. I can only imagine, like, because at least with him, it's like a weekend thing. So he has that 9 to 5, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe Monday, but you're just like pick it up and drop it whenever you want. So you get writer's block or whatever, you just drop it.
I do, and actually, I've never suffered from writer's block. Like my ideas never stop,
Say that out loud.
but I do suffer horribly from writer's procrastination. Bad.
Oh,
Like I have 1,000 stories started, and I'll just, there's a lot of games to play.
oh, there's so many games to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is that like being an author in South Alabama? Like you said, you're not anybody who you don't have like a fan, well, not a fan club, but like there's not like a support group or anybody else that's just out there. It's like here's some ideas that I had, or maybe you could go this way. Is there anybody really like that, or are they all like that, but they're only available the days they're not working a job?
Well, it's really interesting being, I guess, like a self-started writer because more or less my name is my brand, no matter what. If I get on Facebook and I start ranting like an a-hole, people are going to be like, "Well, I don't want to buy this guy's stuff. I'm not trying to support this guy." So
Mm-hmm.
you've got your fan club, but you've got your friends and your family, and you have to branch out after that. But I do have a lot of friends who read the first book and they were like, "Oh man, this story is really good." And I'm like, "Well, what about the rest of them?" They're like, "This story is really good." And I'm like, that's what I need. I need you to tell me why these other ones weren't great so I can get better at it. But
Oh,
a lot of my friends, they've got ideas and they've got, they want to hear how things work. So most readers, I'd say, are just their fans, their friends, and it all just kind of merges together.
okay. So now, is that more of when you say you have friends that have a lot of ideas? I remember because we met at my friend's bachelor party, and I knew about you just a bit off of what he said, but I wasn't really I was like, well, maybe maybe it's like, surely he works like Walmart or something part-time to keep him up. And then he's just like, no, he doesn't. I'm like, wow. And I was like, so how do you do it? It's like, because I have all these ideas and you're just like, and then you literally just like, just do it. Just sit down and do it. And I'm like,
That's literally
I'm
it.
like, duh, but surely there's something else. There's got to be, it's like, what secrets aren't you telling me? Like, do I have to pay? I have money. But is that really all it takes to an extent?
So
You just sit down and do it?
I've had people all the time. They're like, man, I'd love to write a book. I'd love to write a song. I'd love to make a movie. All these things. And I always say, well, what's stopping you? They're like, well, I got family, kids, work. I got to do this. No, what's stopping you? Those are just things that come with life. What is stopping you? Are your fingers broken? Is a recorder not going to work? Like, what's, and, there's always 1,000 reasons not to do something. You'll find those reasons. And I try to tell people my first book, Shadows and Other Beings, I'm 29 years old. It took me probably 26 years to write that. Yeah, thanks. It probably took me 26 years to write that. Like I was building in my head, I was forgetting about it. And then my second my second book was a couple months, just done, because I just sat down and I decided to do it. And you can have an 8 to 5 and still write a book. It doesn't really take that long, unless you're Steve Martin, or not Steve Martin, J.R.R. Martin, whoever that is.
Yeah.
God, R.R. Martin. Who is?
Even with this, like I saved up all the money for this podcast to start it up, and I was telling you this before we started recording. Like I saved up. I got an extra room. I cleaned it up. I put in a bookcase, make me look like I actually read stuff, even though this was like a guy just selling each Naruto manga for $1 a piece, and I was like, that's a fucking steal.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I told you, the internet goes out. Like I'm barely running at 14 kilobits a second over here with the internet, and now I'm just recording off my phone, which y'all will probably notice the different format of the camera. And that easily could just somebody be like, hey, this is it. It's just not meant to be. It's not happening for me. And it's like a lot of people I've found out do like make those mistakes or make those excuses for themselves.
Yeah. There's, to me, you always want to picture the best case scenario. So, the best case scenario is you get picked up by, like, I think it's Apple, who really does like the podcast and stuff like that, or iTunes, whoever. But you want to get picked up by somebody. And when they go to interview you for a podcast and they say, well, what are some of the trials and stuff you had starting? You're like, oh my God, I tried to interview this guy and I had to do it on my phone. And you've got other people who they just sail through life and they're like, well, what's some trials you have? And they're like, oh my God, my Uber was like 10 minutes late. Like,
oh no,
people have fake problems. Yeah, but the real problems are the ones that are going to grow the proper community. Because I relate to you better when you have camera issues. I'm like, this is a normal dude. This isn't some guy in a professional studio. This is relatable.
It's not professional at all. It's almost laughable. Like if I was casual guy that had a podcast and then I saw the studio that I'm working in is the studio he's using, I wouldn't watch him. Now, please watch me. I need you to watch me because I will only get better if you watch me. But just as a generic stance, I would not watch me just because of the studio alone. I'd be
it happens all the time. You see that a lot with streamers, actually. People get in here and they got these mega PCs and they've got their green screens set up and working, and you see them and they're like, man, they've got 50,000 viewers. I've got 5. Hey, that's 5. You're doing really well. There's a billion people out there with 0 viewers because they're not even trying. So exactly. Everything you're doing, you're doing it.
I had some dude, it's like, hey man, your YouTube videos aren't really good. You should really try to get better at that. I was like, hey, give me your channel and I'll subscribe and then I'll just take the pointers that you give off of your videos. He's like, I don't have a channel. It's like, well, it looks like I'm doing more than you are.
Exactly. And I see it in my writing. People are like, man, your grammar really sucks. I'm like, really? What book do you have? Because I would love to pick through that. And they're like, well, I haven't written a book. I'm like, well, then get out of my face.
It's like, your book has a scan bar. Anybody else's book is like on like some kind of like internet forum.
And I really try not to take the high and mighty look at me road, but at the same time, it is like there's constructive criticism and then there's derogatory criticism. And I don't need somebody giving me like, hey, like you look like you made that cover yourself. What happened? I made it myself. You know, like I'm not going to win any prizes for it, but I didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. So you wrote Shadows and Other Beings, and then your Creepypasta book, and you have another one coming out soon. I think you said you're in the middle of editing it, right?
I finished editing it last night, so.
Woo! Okay, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to get that copy signed and everything. Thank you, Brock, for being an inspiration. Even though
It's coming, man. That's
not
but
even.
that one I want to take the publishing route though. So rather than Amazon publishing, I'm trying to get like a Tor or something like that, like a real solid publisher. So
Okay.
this one I'm gonna have to go about the right way.
So how does an Amazon publishing even work?
So it's so easy. It's kind of ridiculous actually. So like I've got my manuscript, which is 73,000 words, and there's really no minimum or limit. And you can use their program for a cover creator. You upload it, you make a cover, and it's live. So technically, you could write 600 words and publish it through Amazon, and you're a writer. And exactly, it's really easy, but
So stupid. That is stupid easy.
it is. It's ridiculously easy. Now, a regular publisher, that's a whole nother monster. That's finding agents. That's sending out query emails or query. I don't know, something like that. But basically, your elevator pitch, like, please buy my book, publish it, and no matter which one you do, you're giving away huge percentages. But I'd rather take less money and know 5,000 people have read my book than get more money from 10 people.
Yeah. So does Amazon share the analytics? Because I know like Netflix, Hulu, a lot of these shows, like a lot of stand-up comedians I follow, they're like, yeah, I really don't know the numbers because Netflix isn't really about that life. So Amazon kind of forthcoming with those analytics, or is Bezos holding them bitches to his chest?
No, actually, Amazon does really well, and I think they do it to drive you to do better. Now, Amazon is they slap you both hands because they do take a large percent. For instance, one of my books is I think 10.99, and for every book sold through Amazon, I make $1.50. Now that's $5 in printing costs, and the rest goes to Amazon, and I make like $1.50 or something like that. So you write to get rich, you write to get lucky.
What would a publisher give you?
I don't know the exact percentages, but I've heard as far from it's always going to be higher than they're going to take more than 50% always. But
that's better than 10.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous how Amazon does it, but it's passive. Like I do sponsored and ads for my books, so I'm paying per click, and if people buy it, it balances out. But if 10 people click it and no one buys it, I'm out that money. So
yeah.
The difference right now is like I'm $30 in the hole just on that, like the last campaign I did. But overall, I'm up like $300 or $400. Like just all the way.
Now that's $300 or $400, but that's $300 or $400 in Alabama. That's about. I mean, that's not terrible. Like somebody in New York, it's like I only made $300, and it's like I made $300.
Exactly, and it's passive, so I can just not promote it, and if people buy it, great. Like there's been some months where I'll make, I think $5, and I can't think what it's called, but what basically my share is $5, and then there's sometimes I'll get in there and it's like, hey, you made $50 this month. I'm like, Jesus, where'd that come from? So
they listen to this podcast.
Exactly, that's what it's going to be.
That's what we're going. That's what we're doing it. I'll take the ad revenue, which I don't have yet, and then you can have this.
I'll take the sales. I just want sales and reviews. That's all I want. Reviews are so hard to get.
Yeah. So, because I would imagine at least in Dothan, there actually might be like someone that could like. Do you want someone to run editing on your book, or is that just something that you like to do yourself? Because I am more than certain that somebody at Wallace, like one of those guys that help the English people, they would love a little back page right here. Thank you, Joe Jorgensen or whoever. I cannot believe I just said Joe Jorgensen. Jesus Christ! But surely someone would love a shout out.
I would shout her out if she would endorse my book. People would do that, I'm sure, but I think it's the Joker who said it. If you're good at something, never do it for free. And everything I pay for cuts into my profits. And again, I'm not doing this to get rich, but if it costs me money to do, like, that's my first business.
Yeah, because because it used to be a thing. It's like, well, you can just play for free and then you'll get paid in exposure.
Oh yeah, I made that mistake when I first started writing creepypastas. This guy messaged me on Reddit and he says, "Hey man, I love your book. Can I narrate it for you?" I said, "Oh my god, yes, that's amazing. I'd love to hear it." He says, "Thanks." And I think last time I looked, it had like 200,000 to 300,000 views. That guy
Oh,
made so much money off my story. I wasn't thinking about it. He hit me up again. I said, "My God, yes, please narrate another one of my stories." So altogether, he's got like 1 million views off my stories, and he's
yeah.
getting paid. So then later on, I was talking to some other writers on Reddit, which Reddit is a great source for people to come
Oh
together.
my God, I love the podcasting forum for Reddit. So, oh my God, it's so helpful.
Think about Reddit, except for politics, is good. But they were saying try to talk to these narrators, so I did, and they were like, "Hey, can I narrate your story?" I said, "Well, let me see your channel." They send me a link. If they're starting out like 1,000 or less, I'm like, "Here, take the story, go ahead." If they have 1 million subscribers, I'm like, "Hey, pay me something right now, and you can narrate it, or you can narrate it and then give me your analytics, and we'll split it." And this one guy hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you $25 if I can narrate a story." Okay, cool. So he did that. And I'm like, go nuts, And another guy said, "I'll give you $50 to narrate this other story." I said, "Look, man, how about I think it was like I said $30 and you get 2 stories." And he's like, "Why? Why?" I said, "Because like you just offered an insane amount of money for one story. Like, let me try to help you out. This will come back for me. Like, I'm not worried about it."
But that guy's sitting on 1 million views right now, and you just like, yay, I got $50.
Yeah, but it's all the lottery because all I need is for one guy in Hollywood to hear that story and go, "My God, that's a good story."
That is a fair point, because you did have a. Are we able to talk about your dun dun interview?
Who was with the? Honestly, I've had a couple different interviews. Who was it? Who done? Who was that?
Big Daddy N.
Oh, yeah, done. No, now I get it. Done. Yeah, the show Haunted hit me up, and because I posted on a and they got back to me about real life experiences that I've had. And they called me, they did an interview, and they were like, "Hey, this is really good. Like, we'll get back to you." And I was like, "Great." Like the next day, it was like COVID lockdown, quarantine, everything's shut down. Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure it just fell through the cracks because it was, the movies just stopped coming out. So maybe later, but that show Haunted, it's pretty cool. I would have liked to have been a part of that, at least to get in that scene, because I do want to get into movies eventually.
I mean, in all honesty, like a lot of people have been saying, like, I was like, well, it'd be cool if they could make a show out of your book, but a lot of your books are like short stories. But even now with the success of Black Mirror, even short stories are like, hey, that's some shit I'd watch. So it may be something for you there.
Well, the movie 1408 actually started as a short story from Stephen King. So
yeah,
and that is such a good movie. So and In the Tall Grass, that was also a short story between King and his son Hill, and that's a full length movie. So all short stories is this part of the movie. That's all a short story is. You don't get a beginning, middle, and end. You get a plot and you're thrust into it. And that's what I like about it because it leaves the beginning, the middle, or the end up to the reader.
Yeah, which a lot of people aren't running with those. I know my wife said when we watch Netflix, they'll make a second season. She's like, no, it could have ended so well right there. And it's like, why do we like have to continue stuff? I'm like, a lot of people don't like that anymore.
And I'll tell you, that's probably the most feedback I get is, more of this story. And I'm like, well, how do you think it ended? And they go off and what they're thinking is all the way over here. And what I was originally thinking was over here. And I said, well, you wrote a better ending than I did. And they're like, no, you're the writer. And I said, well, if you liked this, my idea was this. You would not have liked this. So people expand on things like seasons and shows and stuff like that because it's a cash cow or because they want to provide closure. They're like they want this to be done. Now they can move on. But short stories, I could revisit any of those at any time.
Yeah. But yeah, people really love closures. Like I watch a lot of K-dramas and they are one season and they end it They leave it open-ended. Everybody's like, please, you have to make a season 2. It's like, no, I have more shit to write. Wouldn't you rather see, like,
exactly.
They're like, no, you're this guy now.
Yeah. It's like,
this is all you and this is all you'll ever be. I'm like,
that's
ooh.
it. That's 100%. Well, that's like the Matrix movies. Now they're making Matrix 4. I love the Matrix. But take that Matrix world, give us another story. It could just be the Matrix anything. But sometimes when people find something they like, they're like, all right, I need 16 movies with Keanu Reeves right now.
Yeah. Like, I know, like, they did that with My Hero Academia, the anime. They had, like, it's like superhero for high school for superheroes. You have to have, like, a license to use your powers. And then they have this side story where it's like, oh, we're the people that couldn't make it as heroes, but we're still kind of badass, so we're illegal vigilantes. And I'm like, that's it right fucking there.
Yeah, just that's why universes are the real money. Like, just do universes. You don't need all this right here, but the studios or the writers or whoever, they find what they like and like, this is it. The Witcher, for example, now they're doing the prequel to The Witcher. That's how things should be done. You give us a world, we like it, let's do something else with it.
Yeah, definitely. So, all in all, how much do you attribute your, I would say success, but it's kind of hard to say success because it's not like you're throwing millions of dollars out the door. But how much would you attribute your success and anyone else's success that they could attain through access to the internet or without access to the internet? Like, how much is, like, Amazon printing your books, all these Reddit forums? It's like, how much do you think has that contributed to, like, everything? Just anyone being like not an intellectual, but an artistic type.
Well, I'd say that the first point is, when you say, like, it's hard, you can't really measure the success. Like, you can't say, like, someone is or is not successful, because when you hear a writer, you want to hear a bestseller.
Standards. Of course, you're successful.
Right.
You have a book, but by tradition.
Yeah, exactly. That's what, if you want to go by traditional or anything like that. So I think in the traditional vein, success is measured by bestseller, book contracts, stuff like that. How many units and reviews? Because if you have 1,000 reviews, your book is climbing the Amazon shelf, more or less, and that's how you're going to get more sales. Really and truly, when I got my first copy that had my name on it and my stories in paper, I said, that's success. I'm done. I did it. Nailed it. So, but I think, to answer your question, I think it's absolutely crucial to have an online presence in order to become successful in any art industry. Even if you're a literal artist, you have to sell it online because there's only so many local buyers, period.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like DeviantArt. DeviantArt is huge.
Yeah. And that's been around for a long time. That was when I was in high school.
Yeah, like webtoons. Like I think they've made, like, what? God of High School. I can't really, but I know there's, like, another 4 that had seasons. Like, webtoons was like this little crappy ass little forum where you's like, here's my little computer made manga slips, and now they have animated series made from this website because they got so much traffic. And like, that's a really good one. Let's put that into an actual show.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some folks don't know this. I don't assume who doesn't or does know things. Stephanie Meyer wrote that's Twilight, and then I can't think of her name. The chick that wrote 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
That writer, she started out writing Twilight erotica fan fiction on the internet, and then she had a following, and people said, "Oh my God, write your own book," and she was like, "Okay, let's do it," and that's how it happened. And if she was just, writing for her friends at home, never would have taken off.
Oh, yeah, no, they'd be like, this is a horrible secret we must keep, and no one must ever know.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, this is an interesting thing, is my dad's a writer too, and I am going to give him a quick plug. These are my dad's books. He's wrote 2 as well. It's called 1-2-C and Blood and Linky Falla by Bob Lee.
It got the blur effect on them.
I'll send you a link on them later on.
Yeah, but, I'll post them up.
Yeah, but so my dad's a writer, I'm a writer, and me and him, we laugh because there is a guy that he knows. I can't think of his name, which is probably a good thing. He writes online, really, really filthy erotica, like with titles I can't say on here, regardless. And they're short.
and I don't have any sponsors. It's like I don't care. I can say it.
I don't know that. I don't know. This is a made up title that but I've heard titles worse than this. It's literally like made with dildo cleans kitchen because of robot. That's the story. And he writes like a couple, maybe I think like 3,000 or 4,000 word stories, which is not a whole lot, but it's, he sat down and he wrote, and he makes about $4,000 to $5,000 a month.
Yeah. That was like I was listening to John Oliver about people getting into like Bigfoot erotica.
Yeah. People will Rule 34 about anything in the world.
Yeah, sex really does sell at an uncomfortable rate.
It does, and I don't want my brand to be that. But if I that stuff on the fly, I'd have a pseudonym in a heartbeat, and people would be like, "Yo, where's all the money come from?" I'm like, "Not sex. I don't know."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy money for that.
Like, I know a lot of podcasters like that I just see off the internet. Like, they actually have like a separate. They're like, guys, I want you to listen. There is daytime me, and there's this new channel, nighttime me. They're not the same person. And then they just go out here with this, like, they'll bring on like porn stars or just like whoever, and they'll just interview them. And it's not like they'll necessarily just like come on with like tassels on or anything, but
yeah.
I'm sure that stuff is wildly more popular. At some point, that will become wildly more popular than their daytime show.
Oh, 100%. The more taboo something is, the more secretly it's going to grow and overshadow. And I didn't believe it. And I used to date this girl, and she was like, "Hey, you want me to take care of you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be great." She goes, I got this new trick I learned from a podcast. What? I said, "You learned from a podcast?" She goes, "I cannot wait to try it." I said, "Well, show me what you got." But a podcast that and I mean, she said it has like thousands of viewers, like on release. So people watch it or listen to it, like sex sells, always will.
So there's this podcast. It's two chicks. Call Me Daddy. The name of the podcast. Exactly. You fucking heard of them. Call Me Daddy. I'm like,
call her daddy. Yeah.
Call her daddy. Okay. Call her daddy.
Exactly.
Like,
and
that's even worse. That's even worse.
Yeah. The Logan, or I almost said the Logan brothers, the Paul brothers, Logan and Jake, they were on that show, and everybody know they hit it, and I'm like, they probably did. So
I mean, more power to you.
Yeah, do your thing, guys. That's one thing. Everybody hates the Paul brothers, but Jake is a hell of a fighter, and Logan, he's got some presence. Period. I don't care if you love him or hate him. That dude knows how to be an entertainer.
Oh my God, they have like an unnecessary amount of presence. Like it's bad. Like I wish I had like a percentage, like 1%.
Snapchat, and I saw like one of his videos, Logan's, and I was like, let's see what this is. And he paid $150,000 for a Charizard Pokemon card, and I was like, you idiot! Next video. Like, I wanted to see more. Like he did it.
That was nothing to him.
Yeah, no, he bought those Mercedes couches for like $300,000 right off the rip. Exactly.
There should not be couches made by Mercedes people.
Well, then he sold it to somebody. I can't remember how much, but he regretted the buy, so he sold it. And the guy made YouTube videos, and he was like, "Watch me destroy Logan Paul's couch." And I'm like, dude.
And he got his money back. He paid 3 times what Logan Paul paid for, and then got 2 times the ad value off that video.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And that's like Mr. Beast and all these guys. When you're rich enough to destroy things to get paid, God, I want to be where you're at.
Right. It's disgusting that they can do it, but it's only disgusting because I can't do it too.
That's a solid fact. That needs to be on bumper stickers.
It really is. Like that's a Brock Taylor original quote right there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the podcast title right there. Because if I heard that, I'd be like, you know what? I'm pissed off how true that is.
That speaks to an emotional level.
It does.
Oh my God. So military. So you told me, so you got hit by a train. How does that work as far, and it's just disgustingly hard of a segue as that was. I'm just going to regret that later. But how was the VA hospital? Because I hear you have fond memories of the VA.
Yeah, so I actually get that a lot. Like, how do you even get hit by a train? And it's surprisingly easy.
Right. Like that's normally like the commercials. You're hit by a train, you're fucking dead. Like, dude, even if it's high, you lose.
all the time. I'm like, yeah, I got hit by a train. They're like, and you lived? No, you know what? I died. Like, obviously I lived. I'm here, But you get thrust into that circle and you start hearing about people that died. I mean, when I got hit, I think it was maybe a month, possibly 2 months later, 3 intersections down from where I got hit, someone got hit and died. And I mean,
Jeez.
could have been me. If we weren't in the Dodge Ram 2500, the mega truck that we were in, it would have killed us both. Me and one of my best friends, who still to this day is one of my best friends. But it hit my door. That was the whole thing. But
Oh,
now
so
with the VA after that.
like flip the tailgate, it actually hit your door.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Dodge Ram has a middle console that's probably this big, and it's solid. It's like built into the frame. And frames have the front, the bullpen. I don't know, a rammer, and it pushed the door in and crushed me between the middle console and the door, and broke my hips upwards in 7 places.
Hey, Jesus Christ! I thought like the back of the truck just got like pushed over or some shit. Like you barely made it, but no, he's dead in center.
Yep, mile and a half over 3 and I had to get cut out with the jaws of life and all that.
Jesus. Oh yeah, because those fuckers keep going. Like it pushed you, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. They can't stop on a dime now.
God.
Yep.
Jesus
I don't,
Christ.
but I will say, active duty medical care. It's so good. It's they're going to take care of you. They're going to give you the best doctor. If they can't give you the best in the military, they're going to give you the best in the civilian world. That's great. Then you get out of the military. Then they're like, hey, here's the VA. And the VA's like, you good for about 2 years? Because we were kind of backed up.
Ooh.
Man, the VA is such a broken system. It needs to be more or less owned and operated by veterans. Because I said it the other day, because I'm dealing with my issues right now. No one hates veterans as much as the VA. It's terrible.
Ooh. Damn. And that's coming from a veteran. Now, if that was just like somebody, I might have to bleep that out, but that's coming from a veteran.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it got so bad that I had to call somebody to complain about the local VA, and they gave me a number and yada yada yada. The last guy, he said, "Do you want to file a formal complaint?" I said, "Yes, I would." So I call, I give the complaint, and I said, "Be honest, is this a serious issue?" He goes, "Yeah, it's pretty serious." I said, "So I'm not just like some asshole complaining." He goes, "No, I'm." He goes, "Do you have a pen? I'm giving you the White House line." Yep, okay. So I called the White House complaint line, overseeing the VA, and they're like, "Office of the White House." I said, "Whoa, look at me!" So
we made it.
Kind of changes, but it's one voice amongst thousands and thousands.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I always do that. Like, if I ever have like an issue with somebody at work, I'm like, I gotta like, am I just being an ass sensitive little pussy, or is there an actual issue here that should be like resolved? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, yeah, no, this is actually a really serious issue, and the other times just like choose your battles because this is something.
Exactly. But I mean, think about this. Every time someone answered the phone, I'd have to say, hey, I need to know if my complaining is going to get me in trouble. Am I going to be considered a whistleblower? Are you going to cut my benefits? I said, because if you're going to do this,
do it too.
Exactly. I said, if you're going to do this, I'll just be quiet. And they said, well, are you afraid to tell us what's wrong because you might lose your benefits? I said, absolutely. And everyone assured me, they said, no, your benefits are separate from this. They said, you're trying to help other veterans. I said, okay, well, I said, I'll do this because in the end, if push comes to shove and they say, hey, like you're a whistleblower or whatever, like you were talking shit about the VA, now you lose your benefits. I'll find a way to survive, but I promise you, like, I'm going to continue my pursuit to try to fix the VA in whatever way I can. Like, especially if they want to make an enemy out of me, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you kind of low key would like to be an enemy. That's like the good. Any publicity is good publicity.
Well, the first day I would have been okay with it because I knew somebody had my back, but now because of the election results, a little more risky.
Ooh, maybe not. Maybe not. Tulsi Gabbard was VP. I'd be like, no, you're good, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I would love to be proved wrong about this whole situation we're entering into, but I
don't. Man. Oh, dude. See, I had on my first episode with my friend Justin Watson, he's like, if you think Biden wins, do you think they're going to riot? I'm like, some will. Some will because they love the chaos, but you've also got some other people that have just got done spending $500 or more on back the blue gear, and that's a really hypocritical stance to take, just rioting, and then you've got that shit run. Right, like imagine taking the flag down as you're putting on your looter mask.
Yeah, exactly. And I see all these, and I'm a Republican, but I see these other Republicans, and like, if we lose, we're not gonna riot because we're better than that. Hey, look, man, putting yourself on a higher plateau doesn't make you a better person.
No.
Like you can't just say like I'm better than you. Watch me not be a terrible person. Like you should just not be a terrible person.
I mean, that same person is still going to call all Biden supporters murderers because Trump wasn't allowed to overturn Roe v. Wade. I'm like, even a police captain. I don't think it was Dothan. I think their police captain's retiring, but an Alabama police captain was like put a Facebook post about putting bullets through Biden supporter heads. I was like, holy fuck. That was like an aunt that had like the rusted over Ruger from her grandpa or something. That's one thing, but a acting police captain be like, cap him in that forehead. That's a whole different.
But see, here's the issue: we've got officers saying things like that against a certain people, and we've got ballot counters doing what they're doing against a certain group. So when you have people in positions of power, more or less, who are conflicting directly with the subject, that's when you get into murky waters. That's where people are saying cops are crooked, cops are bad, ballot counters are wrong, they're crooked. There's a lot of Republicans saying the Democrats literally stole this election, and the Democrats say, show us proof. And we say, like, which video do you want? We've got 1,000 of them, but they just don't matter. It's numbers.
Can be put up as proof though? Because all the clips I've seen, and you're right, there are plenty of clips, but at the same time, they're 10-second clips. Like I saw one with like a dude had a paper, he like looks both ways, and then he jots something down. I'm like, okay,
right?
That looks a tad bit suspicious, but it's a very cropped in video.
It is, but it's because, and so the word for that is it's manipulation of the video. No matter what, it's distortion, it's manipulation. Now, you see, I've got this large screen. If you're going to editing, if you want to box it off to right here, where did all this go? You cropped it because it's not important. It's not relevant. It's no different than if you see a large video and there's a big red circle. You're like, oh, thanks. Obviously, I know where to look now. But if we just crop it down, now we know where to look. It's this little video. But you're not going to show a 2-hour video for a 10-second clip. You're going to show a 10-second clip.
Yeah, I'd want some pretense and some follow up. But like even like I got done reading for the 5th time because it's a really good book, Edward Snowden's Permanent Record. That was a multi-year NSA, CIA, FBI. We're taking every bit of phone data you've got and we're putting it over in a little USB drive on Quantico or some shit. That's one dude. I don't think something that big could like not make it. Like somebody somewhere will leak for some reason.
They will, but the problem is that all the organizations, whether they're political government, like they're included or not, they realistically don't want Trump in power. Trump is not good for business. He's a great businessman.
That's definite. But
exactly. So no matter what, this election will cruise through. Biden's going to be president for 6 months, and then Kamala's going to take over because he's insane. But the fact is, this investigation, it's not going to stop. This will be a conspiracy for the rest of our lives and then some. This will be investigated. This will be cracked into, because whether or not it happened to somebody, it happened.
Yeah, like there was one guy I have on Facebook, because I have a lot of people that will openly share on like you can't really be like this is a conspiracy theory. This does not exist. Like, and then they will post it on Facebook like it's law. And there was one, like, I think it was 4chan. The format looked like 4chan, where secretly President Trump has watermarked all the true ballots. And then the Democrats have all these fake ballots without the watermark. And now he says stop the count. So they have to take the opposite position of keep counting. And then once the investigation comes, they're going to be caught red-handed. Victory for President Trump. I'm like, that's some Bullshit. That's no fucking way.
That
There's
does
no
sound crazy.
thing.
Even if that happens, though, how long can you wait before? What are you going to wait till Biden's getting sworn in? Like, you got to move fast. So, and
Yeah.
there was what was the other president?
Like the
Yeah,
lawsuit's
exactly.
Monday, the second the court's open.
Yeah, who was that one president? And there was a radio issue. One, like he lost, but everybody thought he won because it was presented differently on the radio. I can't remember the name of that president. And then like, well, yeah, I wish I could remember, but there was some kind of dispute, and the radio said like he lost, but he was so like energetic and happy about it that everyone thought he won. So there was a while where people didn't know who the president was.
Yeah,
that's kind of what's happening right now. Like,
well, look,
we're not sure.
I'm listening to this news YouTube channel, and Biden and Gore, not Biden and Gore and Bush was like 45 days, and we didn't know. So I mean, people are like, 5 days, this is the worst thing ever. I'm like, no, we didn't fucking know for. I was like, I don't know that, because I was like fucking 5 years old and worried about my parents were going to buy me a Pokemon game or something. But I mean, yeah, that's significantly worse. Like 45 days. Could you imagine? That's damn near the next year.
Given 2020, I wouldn't surprise me none.
Dude, like I am dead. I'm almost dead certain. So there's either going to be two ways this plays out in my head. There is some fuck shit going on, or there's not some fuck shit. And then there's going to be, they absolutely know for a fact that there is no fuck shit. Like, because like Trump this entire summer, he was like, mail-in ballots are fraud. You need to stand in line. And then they freak out because all the mail-in ballots are going to Biden. Of course they are. You said the entire summer that mail-in is fraud. So he either knew that ahead, because I seriously think he has like some like doctoral level meme makers and like trolls working on like some subcommittee, and they're just like, this is what you do. This is how you get the people fucked. This is how you get them stirred. So on the off chance that he knows nothing's going on, he lost, and there's nothing he can do about it. With the year being 2020, that's the final seal. That's like, he's going to like, I'm firing everybody. I'm like, I couldn't, like, I'm just throwing everything out the door.
Yeah, it's
a lot of stuff. If he's really as sore as a loser as they portray him to be, he could easily destroy everything within a month or two.
He could, and here's the thing: if Biden wins legitimately, I will be the first to say that's my president. Like, yeah. I'm a Republican, all right? I enlisted in the Marines under an Obama administration. I don't care who my president is. I'm going to serve my country, and I'm going to defend my country. Red, blue, doesn't matter, you know? So you're going to have people who are like, well, that's not my president. Biden's not my president. Joke's on you. He is. You know, like, y'all just spent X amount of time saying Trump's not your president. You know, joke's on you. He was. But if somehow Trump pulls this out and he retains presidency, it will now be Trump goes to war with the media, period. Like, war with the media, not just, you know, like, hey, F the media.
They're like I see like every clip from the Fox News YouTube channel, I see it's like unsubstantiated voter fraud claim. It's like, there is nothing to support this. These are trolls. These are like the Russians or something. And like, if they're for whatever miracle they recount, it's like, oh, he won by one vote in Pennsylvania and Nevada. Because honestly, they can like, what is it? Pennsylvania, Georgia. He can have those states as long as he gets Nevada and Arizona. Biden wins. I mean, so it's almost statistically improbable. I don't say impossible, but statistically improbable for him to flip Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. That's almost improbable. That's just the smaller. You have more chance of winning the lottery than that happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, some would say he's already won the lottery a couple times.
No, I mean like a person. Like, you're in a crowd pointing to a person. That person will win the lottery before Trump.
Yeah.
Like, that's how slim it is.
It's going to be an interesting time, though. But I will say, to tinfoil hat on, if you pull up your computer, your phone right now, and you type in election fraud, it won't autocomplete for you. It won't pull up direct results. If you type in this election is, it won't be anything negative. It'll be this election is important. This election is very important. The Twitter, Facebook, Google, literally all of them are, and it is a fact, they are censoring what we're able to search for. I mean, I challenge anyone listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, go on your phone, take yourself out of your position, right? Just from an outsider's view, Google something. You have a question about this election. It seems sketchy. Google a phrase that you think would pull up results. It won't autocomplete for you. They're doing their best to make sure this is legitimate no matter what. And that is sketchy. Whether or not the election's rigged, don't know. It's above my pay grade. That is sketchy, though, period.
Is it sketchy because it's sketchy, or is it sketchy because we've been planted with the thought of it being sketchy? And I'm coming from the same place. I'm like the Biden votes where he got like 100 extra thousand at like 4 o'clock in the morning. That's a bit suspect, but at the same time, he did say all these mail votes were going to be fraud. Of course, if there were, and even then, like I think even the states like local news network, it's like it wasn't all the votes, but it was like 98% of the votes, because of course he is.
Yeah.
So we're very impressionable like animals. Like humans are very impressionable. So you can't really take yourself outside of where your stance is, because you've had this conditioning beforehand. You'd literally have to erase your memory. Like you'd have to have a mind wipe the last year.
Well, that's why the autocomplete. The autocomplete is where the challenge is, because if you type in some stupid phrase, it'll finish it because it's a commonly Googled question.
Yes.
But you can't deny, if you get on there and you say, like, is this election rigged, it's going to pull up 1,000 reasons why it's not rigged. But even if there's one news publicist journal, whatever, that says, you know what, it might be rigged, they're not going to pull up in those results. And I don't care whose side you're on, that is weird. The most suspicious thing in the world is to say, don't look that way. Well, why the hell not? We're driven to want to know why.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is weird, but at the same time, could it be slightly justifiable to do that? And I do not support. I'm not going to say that. You'd find me very difficult to support any kind of censorship at all, except for maybe in this case where they don't necessarily have the facts, because we are in so many different states, or they're set to release these facts because they have a conclusion to where when you're looking it up, you wouldn't be looking up the facts, you'd be looking up the tinfoil hat.
Right.
See, maybe I'll let them get away with it for that specific reason only. Anything else, absolutely not. But again, I was talking to Kyle. I was like, this is a very weird time, because even with McCain, like I had a friend like post a video of McCain, and everybody's like, at his like concession speech, he's like, President Obama or President-elect Obama is a fine gentleman. Everybody's like, ooh. I'm like, that could be a Trump rally. But McCain was just like, yo, shut the fuck up. He's a decent person. Stop it. Fox News. Just stop listening to Fox News people.
Yeah.
And then like that old lady who remembers like, he's an Islamic terrorist and I think he's going to destroy the country. He's like, he snatches the mic from this old. No, ma'am. Senator Obama's a great man. It's like, that could easily be the same thing as happening now. But now we have and I say this because he is hilarious. He is a troll. He is so good at what he does.
Oh, like, yeah, that's without question.
Like, because he's so good. Like when he was like talking about buying Greenland, he put a giant Trump Tower picture on a beach in Greenland. He's like, I promise I won't do this. I was like, it's hard to hate you because you're so funny.
Here's the thing. Obama was, without a question, the people's president. He was.
Just solid president.
Exactly. Whether you liked him or didn't, he interacted with people. He brought comedy into the presidency, which was so needed. He was able to brush things off, but he was also able to take things very seriously. I think Obama was an excellent president. I do not think he was the messiah of presidents. You know, he was just another president, but he was very good at what he did.
Yes.
Trump comes in. Trump is a amazing businessman. Period. That's a fact. You can't argue. Love him, hate him, whatever. When you ask people, do you like Trump? Oh, I don't like him. Okay, why don't you like him? They're going to list all these negative personality traits.
Yeah.
That's fine. You don't have to like the guy. You can't argue he's good at what he does. That being said, Trump is the meme lord president.
Oh,
we got the people's president and we got the meme lord president. Now is going to be an interesting time because I'm just curious how long Biden remains in presidency before Kamala takes over. And that's not a conspiracy. I really like that makes sense to me. He's this iconic guy. He's in. All right, let's get Kamala in here who can actually be used.
Yeah, it would be interesting because, and we can actually say this now because we're not like YouTube won't pull this down for like you're infringing the presidency. It's like it's pretty well known that Kamala, I think it was the mayor of San Diego, like it's pretty well known, maybe not confirmed, that she did a little bit of favoring to get into certain positions, which I'm not gonna knock because if given that position as a like it's never been better to be a female. It's
God, yeah. And this could get me into hot water. I'm fine. A white male suffering right now more than anybody else. And when I say suffering, I'm not talking about we're being persecuted or whatever or what. But in a room full of people, a white male's voice is the least respected and the least wanted. So, your very average Joe is going to lose a lot of this. And Kamala Harris embraces that. She wants everybody else to speak up, and that's great. We want everyone to be heard. But you can't have equality with favoritism. You just can't. Period.
No, you can't.
So it's going to be an interesting time.
It's got like, in all honesty, you have a lot of single issue voters. Like I've heard so many people, it's like, you don't have any basis for Trump being not or voting for Biden except for Jesus Christ, let me catch myself. You don't have any reason for voting for Biden except for he's not Trump. There's no, and that's a pretty like accurate statement. There is a lot of like Biden doesn't have like this, like Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang had a giant list of opinion or a subject, my opinion. Subject, a long form, not like a sentence, like a paragraph. And like, but for me, the federal legalization and like pardoning of anyone who was on a not a non-criminal, but a non-violent drug offense, that's what I voted for because Democrats will make that happen. 100%.
Yeah, that's also them righting their own wrongs, though. Like Kamala Harris throws people in jail. Biden did the whatever that one act was where he started calling
crime bill in the 2008. Absolutely. But at the same time, that's like somebody, and again, I'm not defending him because that is who he was at that point. And that's why I liked Bernie at the beginning, because 1994 Bernie was tax the rich, legalize pot, pro-LGBTQ, and he's never changed. And that's why I liked him to begin with. Straight consistency.
But, he never stood a chance because he's too good of a guy.
Day one, Biden needs to come forth and is like, yes, I signed on these bills. Yes, I did. I think he said predators. I don't think he said super predators, but there's a video. He said the word predators. He needs to come out full-heartedly on an apology tour and be like, guys, listen, I am sorry. I will make this right. Day one. And if he doesn't do that, he's lost some of my respect. He's lost my respect if he does not.
Where's the line, though? Because if he gets on and he says, hey, guys, I'm sorry, I was wrong. At the time, things were different. I respect that. That's hey, man, you get that. Because I will do my best to make it up to you. I will make this right. What are you doing? What are you doing now? Now you're catering to not seem like the bad guy you used to be? No, deal with today's issues. Stop trying to go back and fix things and make reprimands. No, it's over. It's done. Say your apology and move on.
Well, I mean, like releasing the people now, like, and maybe, like, because you can't give them all the money they actually deserve because you bankrupt the country. But like
Yeah.
$1,000 isn't like $1,000 isn't too much, but it is something. Maybe five. Maybe five. I wouldn't complain if I like five. Five is okay. Five's okay, but you can't do five. Five would be very hard. I don't know the numbers. I'd have to know the numbers.
Like, right, and I can't give an honest suggestion on numbers because I don't know. I don't economy. Like I don't know how that works.
Like if there was like 1 million people that would be eligible for release, that's some money right there. That's like 5,000 by 1 million. That's a lot.
Can't do that because if you admit one person was wrong, then it's everybody else was wrong. All right, and let's just say, hey, they were all wrong, but now it's the crime bill. It's the people on the jury. It's the system itself.
Yeah,
you can't right one wrong without popping up 50 million red flags.
Yeah, and that's why it's so difficult. Yeah. I don't know. Do they deserve it? Yes. Is it feasible? Probably not.
That's exactly what it is. Yes, I agree with you 100% in that scenario. And because it's not feasible, it just won't be done. And it sucks because those are human lives.
Yeah, those are lives. Those people, like weed is nothing. Abraham Lincoln was talking about smoking weed on his front porch. George Washington in his diary was talking about this shit smacks harder than that shit, so we're taking the seeds from this shit. Like, this is something that's been here. And then what was it? Not Reagan. Nixon was like, let's try to squash the Black Panthers and the Hispanics, and now it's marijuana where this is going to embolden them to rape white women. And I'm like, holy fuck.
Which doesn't make any sense, but it
doesn't make sense.
I don't understand the government's hatred for marijuana. All right, I'm not a habitual marijuana user, but I've smoked. Okay.
Oh, I went to Boston this summer, and
right. So it's not a gateway drug. I have never smoked weed and been like, you know what's sick? Heroin.
Yes. Oh my God. No, you want to know what's worse? OxyContin.
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. But you know what? That's profit right there. So
yes.
I when I was injured, I had to request to get off painkillers.
I'm sorry about that. And Purdue was like charged $2 billion. I'm like, that's fucking nothing.
Yeah, that's
$1 billion, and you might put a dent in them.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if they would just legalize marijuana, everybody who's currently in jail, and that's another thing. At the time, it was illegal. Whether we think it's a small thing or not, it was illegal. You broke the law.
That's why I don't smoke it in Alabama. It is illegal.
Right. So if they legalize it now, we have people who need to finish their terms. You broke the law. Period. Sorry, it sucks.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
And that's fine. But at the same time, okay, check this out. If I say, Brock, come over to my house, hang out, whatever you do, don't pet my dog. Just don't touch the dog, whether you like dogs or not. Right. And I got cameras all through my house, okay? Later on, I see a video, you're petting the dog. I said, you know what? That's fine. I'm going to remove that rule. He can pet the dog. You come in, and I'm like, Brock, I know you went ahead and pet the dog anyways. It's fine. It's not fine. You came to my house. I had one rule. Don't pet the fucking dog.
Pet the dog.
Exactly. Now that I changed my mind, it doesn't change the fact that at the time, you went against my wishes.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you had somebody currently in jail for petting your dog, you'd kind of feel like now, legally, if that's justifiable or not, yes. But I would also be like, you're an asshole because Bobby's still locked in jail.
Yeah, and if I was in that position, I'd be like, look, my bad.
Bobby, we might need to let Bobby
out. Yeah, we might. Yeah, but when you've got 50,000 people across the world, you can't. It's not feasible. So that's why we're on webcams and everybody else is in politics.
Right. This is why we're on webcams and everybody else is like sitting in a Fox News studio.
Exactly. And if somebody was like, "What do you're president for a day? What would you do?" Oh fuck, well I'd quit.
Every public servant has to have a mandatory shroom experience once a month.
And there's a lot of things like you think people we think alike. We'll have similar ideas. We won't, because I know a lot of my ideas are controversial. For instance, I believe every citizen should serve a military sentence 2 years, period. Exactly.
South Korea should.
Right, but think about this. you have this obligation to your country. Okay, you are taught weapon management and control, how to focus and be responsible. You're taught how to dress appropriately. You're taught how to address those above and below your station. It does a lot of good. Then, in my mind, that's perfect. Let's do this. But you've got draft dodgers, more or less. You've got people who refuse service. You've got fake medical conditions, real medical conditions.
Right.
That's a slew of problems that my great idea of let's do a minimum service, I just created all these problems. I just created criminals. Because of my idea, I have now made a bunch of people who will not. Right. In my mind, it's a great idea, but execution, not so much.
No, execute. I'll change your mind right now. Maybe not change your mind, but anyone else who says that, I'll change the mind right now. Alabama football. Yeah. Who's going to play Alabama football? You're going to have 2 years of just. They're not going to let that run. They're not going to let that slide.
Yeah, but I don't know, and that's a weird thing too. You see a lot of these athletes, and you hear these great stories of this guy was on a full ride, or he was on a pro team, and then he joined the military. You're not heroic giving up sports. You're not heroic for the military. You're just a normal guy who did his normal duty. The word hero gets thrown around way too much. But you do something more than honorable. That's a fact. Like, if you had a full ride, like you're swimming in money, women, power, you give that up to join the military as a nobody. I respect that hugely. But if somebody says, do you think that was the right decision? No, you dipshit. You just gave away millions of dollars to get treated like dirt. I mean, I respect you. Damn, are you stupid?
Yeah, no, I can respect stupidity because it's commendable, but it's still stupidity.
Exactly. There's nothing intelligent about that. It's honorable. I believe in it. But if we had 2 years minimum, now I'm not talking every 18-year-old on their 18th birthday, they join the military. But if you have between the ages of 18 to 24, you have a lot of playtime where someone can choose or they can cycle it. There you go. There's your fix.
And like Korea, we could be like, if you're going to be a doctor, maybe we can because 1% of people is going to be a doctor. Let's excuse that person.
But even then, the military's got doctors, and we got great doctors. A lot of the Navy doctors.
Yeah, that's the Navy.
That's true. Well, you got your Army doctors, your field surgeons, and stuff like that. And I try to tell people because, everybody's got this alpha male, beta male mentality. Everyone thinks they're top hot shit. And then there's people who recognize, hey, man, I'm kind of soft. You can still join the military. You don't have to be in there gun-toting, swinging yeehaws. You can just be a regular dude in the military. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It's, in all honesty, it's a bit too late to implement anything that big.
Oh, it is. 100% it is. But that was that magical, if I was president for a day, I'd probably implement that, and then I'd quit, because after that, I'm salary the rest of my life. I got security. You're bitching about it. Go through my security. We'll talk.
Like right now, I think in 3 years, Alabama's planning some super prison in Montgomery County somewhere. And if they legalize marijuana, they're not building that prison because I'd say a good 20% are in there for nonviolent drug offenses.
I know that jails make money. But if we took that amount of money and we put it into some kind of reform, couldn't we just keep people out of jail?
You can't make money off reform.
I know.
You make money off of catching, releasing, gotcha again, bitch. Bring them back. That's how you make money.
That doesn't make sense to me, the idea of it, because if you could just rather than put 10,000 people in jail, give 10,000 people a job to pay taxes, surely that has to pull in more cash.
Not for that company.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, maybe this will change the monopolization of everything.
Oh, dude. And these are the same people that want to privatize the USPS. I'm like, do you think that your bumpkin country ass living 20 miles away from anywhere, do you think any company with any kind of bottom line sense is going to deliver to you specifically?
Yeah, that's
out of your mind.
And people underappreciate, the Postal Service. They
understand
how valuable it is. In their minds, they're like, well, we got FedEx and UPS and all that. I'm like, those are private organizations. Like, that's a lot different.
That's a $5 letter.
Yeah, we've had this. The postal service has been our right forever, and yeah, there's a movie, The Postman, Kevin Costner, I think it is, and that I mean, the world falls apart. We still need our mail, you know.
Yeah,
So
just like it is so funny how, and I don't say this because I kind of half do like shitting on Republicans, not because I think they're all stupid, because I hear most of what they say because I am in a Republican state. I'm sure if I was in Birmingham, I would hear just as much on both sides, but it's very easy to hear a lot of stuff about Republicans and poke holes in their little things. A mass majority of what they say and what they support can very easily be flipped around and fuck them over.
oh yeah, and for some reason, you know, like and I'll say it again because you just touched on it. I am a Republican. I believe in my values in certain ways and all that. But
Absolutely.
Republicans they're so stuck in the old ways. Really, their new ideas, they're this is going to change the world. No, it's not. It's just going to keep it the same.
No.
I'm about change. Let's get if they want to get rid of the two-party system and do something that benefits everyone. I'm about it. But
Woo!
exactly, that's Republican. But I at the same time, I don't know. Like we're giving away all these rights. We're giving these rights. We're using these rights, and all they're really doing is making us smaller.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's what I was interviewed like for a podcast in like the November or like later this month. I was interviewing these people that have a homestead, and I'm like, that is all I that's all I need. I need no 9 to 5, a
Yeah.
sustainable house with some solar panels, a garden. Maybe I go hunt, get some meat. Like I need like internet connect. I still want internet connection, electricity, and hot water, but I need it to where I need to just sit down and do my thing. I am so tired of like because like we were brought up with this. It's like high school, standardized testing, go to college, get your bachelor's degree, and then like I'm hell, even like I said on the first episode, our mutual friend got very lucky to where he got a job within 6 months in his chosen field. That does not happen for
No.
almost anybody. That is a very
Yeah.
small.
Exactly.
He got lucky.
Yeah, and it's really a shame that the American dream is to sustainably sell your life for money to pay for being alive. That's
Yes. Oh my
it's a
God.
terrible scenario, and that's why in my scenario where I don't have to work or I can't work, it's great. But at the same time, you know, I walk outside and I'm like, what am I going to do today? Whatever I can by myself because everyone else is selling their time. Period.
Yes. Oh my God. I can only imagine how boring that must be. Like,
Right. So I mean, I there's going to be people who are like, oh, boo hoo, he's bored. Guys, I've been medically retired since I was like 23. I've got 2 degrees that I military paid for. Thank God. You know, I've had numerous jobs until eventually, probably 6 months ago, I got 100% disabled to where I literally could not work. But before that, I had to have a regular job, and or maybe it was a year ago. But either way, so I've been bumping elbows with people who did this their entire lives, and when they're like, "Yeah, I'll be able to retire in 30 years," I'm like,
oh
Jesus
my God.
Christ.
And he's almost dead. His
Exactly.
he's his legs are swollen through like sodium, like whatever fucked up he does with his sodium in his body, and his legs are swollen, and his socks, like you can see holes where the fabric are being like stretched, and he's like he's barely breathing. He's like, only 5 more years. I'm like, no, you'll be dead then.
But you've got the people on both sides. You know, like there's 100%. There's people who are either more disabled or they're getting more money or whatever. Like they're in a better position than I am, and they're probably doing more than I am.
Yeah.
Sure as hell, I'm not doing the least. And I know plenty of people who are just doing the bare minimum. They don't ever want to do any better. Whatever the government gives them, they're going to spend it like that. They have no. They're not writing anything. They're not building anything. Those we have way more of those than we do anything else, and
Yeah,
that's
we do. We do.
yeah.
And it's almost our fault for that being the case because life is so good right now. It's not evolutionarily beneficial to be that like that go-getter.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah, You don't need to be the fastest, the strongest, or the smartest. You have to be the luckiest. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. No, you have to be alive. Like, you have to be alive in a certain country. Like, if you are born in America, like if you're born in like Libya or Sudan, it's like it may be a different story over there.
Yeah, you have to be in the right family for that stuff. But here, family privileges you a little bit. Your color, ethnicity privileges you a little bit. Your parents' education privileges you. You just get XXX until eventually you just, I'm good. You're done. Like you may or may not have a career. It really doesn't matter because you're gonna get income somehow.
Oh, like right now, like I inherited what is it? 5 acres and a house, and then an adjacent 9 acres from my grandpa. That's really good. Like,
yeah, that's real good.
Lucky me. Like anyone who wants to do that kind of self-sustaining, like, because what I want to do is like I want to pull off like dividends from Robinhood. I want to do some stuff with the podcast. Maybe like grow my own food and have like a cat, like have some cows for like slaughter or whatever for like food and sustenance. Have like some solar panels to keep the electricity and all that down. And then the money that comes from these 2 or 3 little side businesses go to me and then go to my traveling. Having almost $60,000 worth of land and living shelter is a fantastic place to start at because that is difficult to attain any other way.
And you have to realize there's countless people who have your exact same plan who don't have that leg up.
So, oh God, it's going to take years longer than me.
Exactly. And it's not, you shouldn't feel bad. You shouldn't feel like, you're not like, hey, like I know I'm a little bit ahead, but also you don't, rub it in their face like, hey, I'm self-made. If someone comes to me,
I'm not self-made.
If someone comes to me and says, man, that's the thing though. Like, build your character, own your character. If someone comes to me and says, you have it so easy, like everything was handed to you, hey, I joined the military. I was lucky enough to survive my life-ending wreck, and I played my cards right. But at the same time, if somebody who's worked their entire lives, their hands are mangled, and they've literally sweat nonstop to work for what they have, they have a lot more pride in everything they do than I do. And I have a lot of pride.
Yes, absolutely. And in all honesty, we were born in a great time, too, because if we didn't have this kind of internet connection with this phone, like I'm recording this off of my personal phone, off of Skype, that's not possible any time in history except for right now.
Oh, yeah. And I always hear people and they're like, oh, I wish I was born in the 70s, 80s, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds terrible. And they're like, really? Why?
Maybe, yeah, you'd be fantastic. I'd be in the same boat as you were if I had the knowledge to get me where I wanted to be. But if you were some dude, there are people that killed themselves in all the market crashes because they did not historically know the market's just going to go higher. Like, it's not the end of the world. Unless Germans march on the beaches, the stock market will still go up. Like, right now, the market crashes. Reddit goes wild. It's like, buy all the shit. That didn't happen. People just didn't fall from work.
Yeah, I messed up in my market because I bought when things were pretty good. I should have bought when things were not so good. But so I have less room for a real increase. But when they're down for me, man, are they down? They're down and dirty. But when they're up, good.
Oh yeah, no. Well, and that's another thing. You have YouTubers that are experts in their field, and they make a channel about it and give you that same experience and know-how for free.
Yeah, that's really the new American dream.
People wanting to get that information to get that 30 cents. The $30 per 1,000 people that watch a 30-second ad. They're banking on that to make their money, not be a professor or open a college. It's like, that's all you need.
Yeah, it's really the new American dream is to be good enough at whatever you do to teach people how to do it, and then you're done.
Get that AdSense. Absolutely, absolutely.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly like I think one of the it was like Shmo Yoho and Weird Al Yankovic was talking about, is the economy going to get great, or should we all just open up our own Etsy shop? I'm like, that's not a bad idea. Like, you say that jokingly, but
it's really, it's anything self-made, self-sustaining. That's the future.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And especially because they're not going to stop automation. This
Right.
pandemic is what has sped up any automation that they were planning by 10 years.
Oh
Easily.
yeah, 100%.
They're going to
And
have to
working
do
from home.
so much quicker. And then we are going to be people that are sitting here. Like, in my honest opinion, if they do not do some kind of universal basic income, we are going to be like the people in tents. Like, I saw a video from Italy where it is a mile of tents just spaced out maybe 10 feet. So it's just 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, just
Yep.
a mile and a half. That will be us, if like, because they will be making so much money off of not hiring us.
Mm-hmm.
It will have to be like us. You have a book, I have a podcast. If that happens in 5 years, hopefully I have enough to give me $1,000 a month. I will never ask for anything else. If that's what it comes to, I will be perfectly happy. But
Right.
some other person who gets fired from their job because a robot just walked in the door, they have to go through that 5 years of I can't
Of
find.
building. Yeah. And there's always going to be certain jobs in certain fields that just cannot be replaced yet. They can
Yeah,
eventually.
that haven't been made.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of a punishing system though, because you either stay up with technology or you get left behind. And when you get left behind, you become poor. Period.
Oh yeah, not just poor, generationally poor.
Oh yeah, that's
Your
a
family
bad.
will work by the skin of their teeth for the rest of their lives and then the rest of their children's lives to get you back to where you failed from.
Yep, that's why you have to get lucky enough to receive some large amount of money from an accident or something. And it's a terrible way, but the best thing someone can do is slip in a Walmart, man. Go to Target, let a shelf fall on you. That's, hey, good luck. Like you did it.
You did a good job. You made it. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
that's what it is.
Children when they exist, but remember
Yep.
where you got. Remember where you came from.
Yeah, you made it. Congrats. That's exactly it.
And that's kind of sad. That's where we need to be. Like, in all honesty, that's kind of where you need to. I don't want to say need to be because it sounds so lazy in the traditional
Doesn't it?
sense. But at the same time, it's almost the only way to do it.
It really is, and it does sound shitty.
It is absolutely shitty. Like if my father said this as a child, and they were like sanding cars for like redoing old beater ups for like $2 an hour, and anybody was like, I slipped in a Walmart and the judge said I got $1,000. They're like, well, hey, well, they would ruin him. They would talk so much shit. It's like, you don't need this job. Yeah. You got $1,000. Go fuck yourself. But
Yeah,
right now, that lady that spilled the hot coffee at McDonald's.
Exactly. Ginger ale because there was no ginger in it.
Exactly.
It's a crazy, terrible thing, but the lottery for normal people who don't want to play the lottery is getting hurt somewhere, stumbling upon a lawsuit. They're just like, hey, let's sue Peanuts for not having any piss in it. Like there's something. You just gotta find.
I mean, it's sad, but it almost feels like that it'll have to, like some system that way will have to become itself because just everything else will be inaccessible. It's like you can't. Like there was an old college humor skit where they're like, the father complains because he had to work 3 jobs to bring up his family, but the son only wished he could have 3 jobs.
Oh yeah, I can see that. That's comedy is it's dramatic comedy. It's tragic how accurate a lot of that is.
Oh my god, and that's what makes it so good. It's like it shouldn't be funny, but it is because I'm crying on the inside because it's absolutely true, and it sucks that it does, but it's also kind of funny.
That's like these rich people, they're like, God, I need a bigger house so I can get more cars, and it's like, damn, I wish I had a car.
Oh my god, like I don't know, man. Hopefully, we'll make it one day. We'll make it one day.
Oh yeah. I fully believe everybody is entitled to what they work for. So as long as you keep pumping out a podcast, it's not a matter of whether it works; it's until it works.
When it works.
When it works.
And then one day I'll be like, it's like, guys, I'm sorry, we're gonna be off the next week. I just bought this new house up in Canhoover or wherever the fuck that is.
Canhoover.
Vancouver.
Canhoover.
Vancouver. It's like, yeah, we're moving up there, and so y'all don't get your podcast because I have to move to this multi-million-dollar complex.
Yep. Best thing that could ever happen to you is you hire someone else to continue the podcast and you just reap the rewards. That's it.
Yeah. That happened with a guy I was listening to. Well, it was the king of random. And then he died in like a parasailing accident. I was like, oh my God.
Wow. That's pretty hardcore.
That way it was so, I mean, great way to go, but
yeah. That's pretty bad. I'll take a fast car, sharp turn.
I think I subscribed to him I was within the first 100,000, and now everything they put out, King of Random wise, is 22 mil within the first month.
God, that's insane. But you know what? He started somewhere. He started interviewing friends, started talking random crap, and you got that drama alert guy, and all he did was keep up with celebrities and talk shit. And now he's famous.
Oh, he's huge. Keemstar's huge.
God, I hate his intros so much.
I did right now. All he's plugging into the conspiracy theory. Democrats are doing this. All of his tweets are that. He replied to Philip DeFranco. He's like, "Well, y'all did Russia, and you tricked your users." And I was like, "No, Philip DeFranco, The Hill, and Joe Rogan are some of the most objective, down-to-earth, non-partisan people I have ever had the privilege of listening to. Everybody else,
they put out good quality.
You what now?
They put out good quality. They put out good information. Absolutely. They're funny about it, but at the same time, they're like, y'all should be aware of this, and that's really all you can hope to do is make people aware of it. That's the goal.
That's all you can do. Honestly, that is all you can do.
Yep.
So, give me a little bit of what's going on with your new book. Don't spoil it. Just, I need to know. That itch needs to be scratched.
Let's see how I haven't figured out how I'm going to write the synopsis, the back of it.
Yes.
So let's see. The long short here is the title is The Away Man. All right. And it's a guy has come home to help take care of his mother who's suffering from Alzheimer's.
Uh-huh.
But she's a mentalist. She has psychic powers. So imagine someone with psychic powers going through Alzheimer's, not being able to control their abilities and whatnot.
Simpsons did it first.
Everybody's done it first. But
yeah, actually, Supernatural actually did an episode, and I really loved that episode. So this does nothing.
I might need some inspiration on that. But so he's coming home to take care of his mother. But when he comes home, he has his own senses that he inherited, and he knows that in his hometown that there's a killer who has gone back to being a killer. So now while he's trying to take care of his mom's mental abilities are reaching out across the city, and she's tapped into this guy. So she can kind of see and feel, and she taps into the victims, and she's freaking out. And the guy is coming home. He's like, man, this is happening in my town. Someone is doing this, and my mom is tapping into this. So she's experiencing all these horrible things as well. So he's got to find who it is, what they're doing. He's got to stop it. And we'll see how that plays out, but it's basically a normal guy who steps up.
Oh no, I love this. This is fantastic. I love this.
It's tough. I want it to be a character series, like my or something like that. One guy who goes through all these things. But one thing I am very, very proud of that I want to keep doing is he has a normal people issue. You Die Hard. All right.
Yeah.
The normal guy gets in there and he's bam. I do this shit all the regular. My guy gets in there, he takes care of things, and he steps aside, and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, man, I think I'm having a panic attack."
Yeah, it's not like they did with Iron Man 3, where he's like, "Is there points?" He's like, "No, you just tweaking, buddy. Calm down, breathe."
That is the most normal, because I know me. If someone kicks that door in right now, I'm reaching for the pistol, bam. But I'm not going to be like, "Hey, Brock." Anyways, I'm going to be like, "Holy shit, I just killed this guy." I'm going to freak out, and I don't think. yeah, I'd be traumatized. I don't think books, movies, I don't think they do that enough. So Iron Man doing that was very well, like when I remember seeing that and I was like, wow, that's a very normal guy, you know.
Exactly.
I
It's
think
like that really humanized a man that flies around in a tin can with nuclear like capabilities.
exactly. And I've got in my book, I've got them. You know, you watch movies and stuff, and they're doing whatever, and all of a sudden the movie's over, and you're like, wow, they didn't eat, they didn't go to the bathroom, they didn't take a nap.
They're just chilling on the beach, drinking margaritas, not even thinking about the kid that they let die, even though it wasn't really their fault. It's just
Exactly.
like, really, really.
So I try to make my character very normal. He has things that happen. He freaks out accordingly. You know, like every so often they're like, "Man, we got to eat. We haven't eaten, a long time." And but it's not so monotonous to where it's like, "Great, he's eating another sandwich," But it is like, "Hey, let's go get something to eat, and we'll talk about what's going on." So I use those as plot points. So we'll see how the style works out. Hopefully it solidifies it. I don't want to have Fast and Furious 10-mile drag strips.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, dude. Like you like I was going to buy the book because you're a friend and because you want that feedback to grow as an artist. But I'm actually very excited about this book right now.
Well, yeah, good. I like hearing that, and hopefully,
Absolutely.
when I put it down, hopefully it makes sense on paper because in my mind, I wrote it. I see everything as a movie, so I've seen the movie. It's a great movie. I hope you actually
It's a great
read it as a
movie.
movie. It's a great movie. I need to figure out who would beat the cast though.
Yeah. So, and again, going back to drug legalization, that's another thing that I really, really found. Like I think it was a 10 milligram edible, and I was just like all my muscles just like turned into jello, and I'm just sitting there. And then I'm like, all these stories like play in my head. I'm like, I need to write this down. How much do you think artistic types are just going to explode if this is to happen?
Oh, I think if you're artistic in any way, you've already tapped into something on that side. Your imagination is a little more open. I think the artists would flourish, but I think your everyday layman would kind of suffer because
Oh yeah,
any excuse to sit down and relax, people are gonna take it. But then folks who are literal artists and their mind is gonna open up, and I mean the sky's the limit, and then some.
because I remember I was reading, and I can't pull it up, and it sucks because I want a producer one day where I can be like, hey, like Jamie on Joe Rogan. It's like, Jamie, pull this up. But to my knowledge, how I understand it, Steve Jobs came up with the idea and design of the iPhone on LSD.
That's I believe it. I mean, I think
Makes
LSD. I think it opens a portal, man. That's a
right.
wild.
Mushrooms too. Like there are going to be some intellectual thinkers. There are going to be religions to be made because is it Oregon or Washington? Oregon, they legalize shrooms like full recreational use.
Well, microdosing is a proven effective strategy to combat depression.
Oh my God, yes, no. Like I was just like we were just hanging out on Cape Cod. I had a 5 milligram square, cut it in half, took the two. I'd never been so happy for no reason in my life. Like
Right.
it's like
And
it's like your whole life you're living with these little horse shutters, and then they just go boom, and you see
but
everything.
it's scary that world that you saw still exists right now. Your shutters are just back on.
Yeah, the shutters are just back on, and I can't be there because Meemaw locked me up for 10 years.
That's a fact. Yep. And then
It is
some.
a fact.
Yeah.
And now I can't do it because you don't want me to get out of jail because technically it was illegal when he done it.
Hey, you know what? I believe in the strong law. I'd visit you and I'd be like, yo, these edibles are, dude. See how I waited? It's legalized.
Like, hey man, I can't fit this through the air hole.
I can't get it through the bar. Sorry about your luck.
Sorry
I mean,
about that.
it's a double-ended sword. That whole like,
Yeah,
break the law. Well, it's a law. You broke the law, but it's a shitty law. That's stupid.
it's a shitty law. And on that leg would be the only justifiable reason to give them that freedom. It's
Yeah.
a shitty law. That's the only excuse. But is it a good enough excuse?
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said is it's not feasible. Regardless, whatever you believe, it's just not feasible. You can't let everybody out. You can't measure their worth because if there's 100 people in jail and you let them all go, 99 of them could have just been shitbags their whole life, no matter what happened.
It's I want to, as a person, I want to let them go. They should be free. But unless people that are paid more than I am and smarter than I am, which there are plenty of, find a way to do it without any repercussions.
But see, that's
Do
the
it.
human nature right there. And so your compassion only extends as far as it makes sense and doesn't cost you more. For instance, if they said, "Sure, we'll let everybody out, but we're going to deduct $1,000 a month from your bank account," you're going to be like, "Nah, not so
They
much."
never do that though. We can't. That I don't really think that argument's fair because they can't and won't do that.
But like you just said, you want all these people to be free, but you want someone in a higher power who can organize this to find a way that it makes sense feasibly and financially. So if they said, "Hey, we can do that, but it's going to cost you and 1,000, million people $50 a month, $100 a month,"
I don't
no one.
buy it. They can cut a contract from Raytheon for a year.
Oh, but they'll find a way. They'll just tax you more. That's
Yeah,
everything.
I know, and it's sad because they don't need to. That's like this whole thing with
Exactly.
Florida. For every year they're going to raise the minimum wage $1 till they get to 15. Is that what they should earn because it's a living wage? Absolutely. Will these companies still raise their prices because every year they're not growing 6%, their stock price falls because it looks like they're a failure? Absolutely. If
Right.
it was not the unfettered greed from these corporations because everything has to grow,
Mm-hmm.
it would work. It really would work, but
Yeah.
it's not because of that.
That's why I think if they could implement a law of fair pricing now,
Now you're a communist. You just said you're a Republican. Now that's communist.
right. That's why I said I think the only way that scenario of minimum wage rising up would work is if they said, okay, a Coke is going to be the same now as it will be in 5 years. Then they can raise minimum wages and stuff like that because we know a Coke's not going to cost you $5. But
Yeah,
just that's not how it works because once everything's if you're getting $15 an hour with no
that
education, no degree, no nothing, come on, man. You're gonna spend it or hoard it? Like, I mean, that's anybody, but if
oh
you're
no,
making
we're
15
gonna
because you've
spend it.
gotten raises,
We're gonna spend it. That money's going right back into the economy. And
oh
what will
yeah,
happen if they don't spend? If they pay their people $15 an hour, they act like that 75% of that money's not going to go back to them.
yeah. But I don't know. It's
And
kind of a weird spot though, because what about our utilities, our electrical, and stuff like that? Because those prices don't go up just because goods go up. Now, if we were paid more and goods were more expensive, but internet, electricity, those things that don't cost any real resources, can those go up?
well, they can't because they're utilities, and legally they can't go up by a certain percentage.
Right. So if we're paying $150 a month in utilities, but we're all making more money, Big Mac can cost a little bit more because it's not like everything else is costing a little bit more. But
Yeah,
it's a line that I don't want to walk. I don't do economy. I just pay my bills.
right. We really don't. We really don't do it. And it was amazing by how strongly they went for Trump. Like the Venezuelans and the Cubans really, and I think it was a 16% increase for black men went to Trump. Like he got an increase of 16% of black men and Hispanics across the board by like the Democrats should be worried. They lost. They should be worried in that regard. They lost. They may have won the election, but they just lost their main targets, and they need to figure out how the fuck that happened if they want sustainability in their party.
Yeah,
Well,
I wish I knew more about politics and how that stuff really played into effect because from
that
where
is a
I'm, yeah,
fascinating like observation. Those are
I mean,
those are
find
considerable numbers.
what you need to do is find somebody in the Democratic Party in our local government and ask those.
Oh, 2 years from now, I plan on having superintendents that I plan on having people like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. Like I just need like 1,000 constant viewers because they're not gonna like you're a friend, so you're gonna be like, yeah. But if you were like Tolkien or Martin, you just like you have 6 subscribers and 100 viewers. No,
Hey, I tell everybody, yeah, they're going to say that, but everybody started somewhere, And
exactly.
there was a guy I was following iFunny, the app, and they were talking about a TikToker guy. He had 0 followers, 0 like money in his bank. He lived in his car, and then 2 months later, he had
I love him. I
yeah,
love him.
tons of followers, and now he's getting paid. But he started with nothing.
Oh, the Cranberry Company, the conglomeration that owns Ocean Spray, gave him a truck.
Yeah, God.
It was so wholesome. Like he wasn't acting. He was just, this is me drinking my giant thing of cranberry juice on my skateboard, just swerving.
But
like I'm not acting. There's no camera crew. There's no producer that's like, hey, we saw this. The jug was a bit in your face, and we couldn't get you in the frame right, so we need to read it. It was just him, just rock bottom, just cruising, and just be like, this TikTok thing looks cool.
And now he's set. I mean, that's
that's that look we were talking about beforehand. And it's hard because he probably wasn't trying.
Right, yeah. He is
like,
trying.
I lost one of my earbuds, like my wireless earbuds. I lost one of them. And for hours, I was looking for them, and I couldn't find them. And I was like, I can't get the result I want because I'm trying. I just need to not try. And then I found them. Now I have my earbuds. But, I mean, that's how it has to be. You just have to not try.
Yeah, exactly. And because I've seen some of his videos recently where he's trying to do that again, and lightning's not hitting twice, man. He got in there and he was trying to do some comedy, and he had millions of views. But it's because people see him, and they're like, oh, he's cool, he's nice, he has to be funny. Those videos aren't funny.
I don't know if you've seen her, but there's this chick, I think it's Chanel, and she has like a pet snake. It's like, this is Chanel and my pet snake, Alfredo. And ding. And it's just her living in an RV. And she went from 10,000 to 2.2 million subscribers because she's not trying. She's doing it on her iPhone. And it's so wholesome.
Yeah, and I think the wholesome relatability is what's continuing to trend.
That's what's going to do it.
I'd rather see that than those assholes doing public pranks that cause damage and hurt people, and other people got to pick up the milk. Come on, leave them alone.
Yeah, and like Logan Paul when he went to Japan, threw Pokeballs at random pedestrians.
Oh my God! Or when he went to the forest.
Oh my God! No, I mean because that wasn't intentional. They didn't like, hey, there's a dead body. Let's go find that dead body. That was unfortunate.
Like he was like, oh man, that's a dead ass body. Anybody else would like stop the video. Like we need like, hey guys, like people would have respected that. But here's another thing. That was how long ago, and we're talking about it.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no. And he was like, he comes back. It's like only person in the world who goes on a 6-month or like a 3-month hiatus and still gained 1 million subscribers. I'm like, no, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if that dude walked in my house, I'd be like, hey, what's up, bro? But if he was like, text, do you like me? I'd be like, no, I just don't think you're that great. But I have to respect you.
You're not a person I would aspire to be. But given the opportunity to come on his podcast, I would knee crawl up a mountain of jagged rocks. It's like, please, Daddy Paul, I need this kind of exposure.
God, I hope that doesn't stick.
No, that's gonna be a meme. I'm gonna be famous, and someone's gonna come. It's like, oh, cool, he has Joshua Lee's first episode, and then we're like, he just said Daddy Paul.
Yeah, you're gonna be on there, Daddy Paul. It's gonna be a whole thing, and he's like, these are your books in the fire, and be like, sick, dude. He's like, next time, like me. I'm like, nah.
Oh my God, it's gonna be bad. Yeah. But how have you been through this Corona? It's like, because I don't think you really like travel. So, or unless you do, and you just like, because I know, because myself, when I went to Boston, I maybe put up like a picture, and somebody's like, "Holy shit, where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I've been here for months." It's like you didn't post like the airport picture or anything. It's like I don't really do that.
I don't really put. Whenever I do go around and travel and stuff, I don't really post about it, or nobody wants to hear about the guy with no job and no responsibilities traveling and doing whatever he wants to do.
I don't know if you've ever heard about this thing called YouTube, but that's all they want.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not entertaining enough for me to think that. But
They weren't either at first. I mean,
yeah,
you're also not ugly, so that's definitely a bonus.
that's that genetic privilege. That was, oh God, thank you.
A lot of people are uncomfortable that. I mean, there really are genetic privileges. Like there is definitely if you're like a 7 or up, life's good for you.
What was it, Daniel Tosh that said being an ugly woman is like being a man? You're gonna have to work for it.
Exactly, and that is never more true than now. Hundreds, thousands of people are threatened to be kicked out of their houses, and they're all men because every single female has an OnlyFans account making $3K a month.
God, it's ridiculous. But you know what? I respect the hustle. I don't care what your job is. I respect it.
I am full support of your hustle.
Yeah.
But yourself on knee straps.
Knee straps. But the coronavirus hasn't really affected me in like a negative, like, oh no, I'm stuck in the house kind of way, because it gives me time to write and
yeah.
There's never enough time to waste time. And I've had so much time to waste. It's felt so good to just do nothing, like on purpose. Been, beating a lot of games and reading and writing. But man, I've had a slew of medical issues. Like I had strep, and then I had mono, and then right now I'm dealing with inner eye optic nerve inflammation.
Oh, I remember you telling me about how I may have to excuse. So I hope the computer's not bothering you right now, because we're already about
pretty small, so I'm able to, look at you without it glowing the screen.
Got it.
But that's a fast recovery. So
that's good. That is real good to hear. So yeah, but what do you think you'll ever get to that point? Because in all honesty, I want to get to the point where I can just do my thing during these months and then these other months and have breaks in between, and then the other months, whatever I want to do, and then have the money to go wherever I want to go.
Yeah, I think that's achievable really for anyone who finds a way to make it happen. When you have somebody who commits to a job, I get 2 vacation days a year and I'll let them add up. Hey, that sucks, but you're allowing yourself to live in that situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. There's always something you can look for. But I have 3 YouTube channels that I'm in the process of outlining. So I plan to have 3 channels for more income. I've got 3 more books already outlined, and then I'll think of more to write. And then I got a really nice new computer for streaming. So I've got all these avenues that I want to start taking sections and then just pumping out content. And the end goal is to be 100% sustainable from within the house, and then have my regular income to where I can I can vacation and have that be part of my content. That's the end goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm again with this acreage I've got. I've heard so many people there's this guy, I think it's North Carolina. I can't really remember why. I'm so sorry, because I want him one day. And if he listens to this, I apologize for not remembering where you live. His name's Joel Salatin, and he does farming, but he sells broiler chickens, slaughters them, and sells them at retail price at a wholesale market. So he grows the 20,000 chickens. They slaughter them and then sell them as whole chickens to people. He buys cows, sells them to the people, has a butcher that's in with him, and then November to end of February, whatever he wants to do. I'm like, that's it right there.
Yeah. But that's forethought, planning, a little bit of luck. And I mean, he's doing it,
and he was we lived in the attic of my parents' house for the first 5 years of our marriage. We didn't go see any movies. We didn't go. We got clothes at the thrift store. We drove one car that was always 10 years older than the current year. He's we only spent I think he said $7,500 on every car in total on every car we've ever owned.
But I've got a lot of respect for somebody like that who's willing to make those sacrifices.
A lot of people will not do that. They need
they won't.
They need the newest car.
And you notice it's the ones who are always spending all their money who are like, well, I gotta, I'm saving for this now, or I need to buy this, but they're not going on those long extravagant vacations because they're always just spending it as fast as they can get it. And then
Like right
I've got my friends come to me and they're just like, how come you don't buy a brand new vehicle? You can afford it. I don't need like
now,
my
yeah,
vehicle. It runs. It's just
you
fine.
just sold your old house, man. Where's your Tesla?
And dude, oh god, all the time they're like, so what are you buying now? I'm like, I don't know. I bought some McDonald's yesterday. Yeah, they're like, but you have money because I don't spend it on dumb shit.
Absolutely. Like right now with the pandemic, I believe streaming services that is another avenue for people to sustainably keep themselves. No more $30 popcorn combos. You get a steak from Walmart, a 2-liter bottle of soda or water, or whatever have you, and you watch your movie and you save
Yep.
your money.
Yeah, for sure. Like
it used to be an old rule: if the TV's price is within $100 of the inches. So if a 55-inch TV is $650, that's a great deal. Right now, you get a 55-inch TV as a base model with no smart features at like fucking $300.
yeah, because 3 or 4 months ago, I just got a 65-inch smart TV QLED because preparation for the new PS5. That's an expensive damn TV. And as I bought it, I was like, what kind of fucking moron? And I'm like mounting it. I'm like, Jesus, I just spent so much money on this TV.
Oh yeah, you could have got some bullshit little Walmart tech brand, same pixel.
Exactly.
You just have to get Netflix and Hulu through your like Amazon sticks for $300.
But I will say now, I'm watching movies on a 65-inch, but that sates me. I don't need to go to the movie theaters. Like I don't need to go out. If people are like, yo, you watch this movie? I'm like, yeah, on my TV because you've always got like 300 refresh rate.
Whatever fee there is. There's a $20 rental fee for 48 hours. And that's if you're not sharing your account.
Yeah, I tell you what though, it would be pretty sick to rent out one of those movie theaters for a while, just to have it.
Like, so huge.
God, that's nuts. I don't even know what I would do. I'd probably watch. I don't even know some movie I've seen 1,000 times just to watch the movies.
It's like, oh, we've seen that movie already. It's like, no, but I want it. I need the flex.
I need the flex.
Like AMC opened up their movie theaters. It's like every ticket will be 15 cents. I'm like, if I knew for a fact that they would sell me every ticket and not let anyone else in, it'd just be me and a couple friends. I'll throw $50 into a whole movie.
Yeah, that would be really cool. But they're trying to make it to where you can buy the ticket, buy X amount of food, rent it overnight. Like there's a whole because you can rent it by the movie now, or at least not all of them. But I saw somewhere posted it, and you could rent it, but you got to buy a food package, an alcohol package, and the movie, and you got to pay for the thing.
No, I'm just gonna sit in my house with a 6-pack that I got from Walmart and just chill there.
Done, easy breezy.
And that's another thing. A lot of people have and they really should have. And I think this is going to be a new evolutionary trend. People are really going to start doubling down on their houses and how like we have a sauna, a hot tub, a pool, an entertainment center. Like being locked in, they're like, this house is bullshit. Because a house used to be, this is the place where I sleep and keep my stuff, and then I go up and work, hang out with my friends, come back, sleep, get up, next thing. But when we get to the point like Ready Player One, where we just slap that bitch on and it's like, what's up, Billy? Yeah. What's up, Kenny? It's like our house is going to be where it's at.
Yeah, that's why with the coronavirus going on right now, it's actually pretty entertaining to see people DIY blown up. Everybody's doing it themselves. So, and that's how it should be. Like, learn a skill and then do it yourself. Like, if you can afford the tools and the equipment, you only buy that the one, and then after that, like you're good to go.
Hell, that's if they don't have the rent. Like, if you're in a big city, you could rent them for nothing.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, when I bought my house that I'm in now, yeah, I wanted to do a privacy fence in my yard, but it's like $80 to rent it for the day, and for an auger.
You buy it at that point. And we're out here regardless. We need stuff needs to be bought. Like New York or California, they have like an Uber driver that'll bring you your rental.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like
I'm just
that's
gonna
a whole
get so
different.
bigger. Yeah, seriously, that's cities, country. That's half a
Way
story.
different. And I'm saying that from Dothan. Like I am actual like country. Like I am like if I have a heart attack, I die because 30 minutes for the ambulance to get here.
I got lucky. I live over here by Krispy Kreme. I'm set. Some shit hits the fan. I'm in and out wherever I need to go. 10 minutes.
Dude, it must be nice. But hell, even Ayrton. Have you ever been to Ayrton? I would see no reason, huh?
I believe I went through it for something.
Okay, yeah. So they got a high school. They had a restaurant and I don't know what happened to the restaurant, but now they have a taco truck and I interviewed the kids that did this taco truck and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And they're opening a restaurant, and if they weren't 18 years old with their own restaurant, they'd have alcohol. And I'm like, who do you need? What investment who name needs to go on the paper so that I can get margaritas and tacos at a restaurant 10 minutes from my house?
Yeah. But I mean, hey, could be a nice little shoe in for you.
Oh my God, I wish. Maybe if I hadn't just spent all the and because I'm still building the studio. Like this is like a closed off corner in a room. I'm still building the studio. So the money in the equipment also went to the studio. So
yeah. Oh, trust me, I know. I'm planning to make my own movies out of some of my short stories. So I bought the camera, the voice recorders. I've got the tripod, and people are like, "Man, you spent a lot of money. You haven't started anything yet." I'm like, "Hey,
yeah,
I'll yeah, it takes time."
Right. It's like there was this one and again, there was this one girl that did an Among Us movie to the tune of Hamilton's The Room Where It Happened.
Okay.
10,000 subs. I think she's at 10 million views right now. It's good.
There's nothing to do but do it. Just
absolutely,
yeah. It's wild stuff.
It is. I honestly think if everything doesn't go to absolute shit, I really think this will be a very important progression in human evolution. To what they were saying in the 70s, it's like we work 40 hours a week now, but our sons and grandsons will only have to work 20 weeks because everything will be so affordable. It's like, and that didn't happen. But I think unless somebody else is just like, hey, we may lose money, it's like, oh, never mind. Unless that happens, I really think we're headed towards that, where you can have your passion project and then a couple of other things to give you enough money to be where you need to be in life.
That'd be nice, man, because I'm tired of seeing my parents have to work. I'd like for them to just be able to do what they want to do. They've worked their whole lives, so we'll get there eventually. What? My dog's over here.
Or there are going to be people working at McDonald's for the 20th year and still paying off a $75,000 college loan that they cannot defer on.
Exactly. Well, maybe you shouldn't have a theater major. I'm just saying. Shots fired.
So you're right. You're half right. You're half right. I do not. But engineers and shit and doctors, because there are people that are in those positions that cannot find jobs.
Oh yeah.
Rather. I don't know. I hate it. But because they can't move to the city where they need to be, so they're fighting for this one job. Or they're like, if I save for 5 years, I can move to this big city, and then their car crashes or something. I have sympathy, but at the same time, I halfway don't have sympathy for the theater majors. But then you go back, and then your great grandfather could work at a diner for a summer and afford his entire year at Harvard.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is people are like, back in my day, college, I paid for college, but that's because college was like $2,000. You had a degree. So
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff that and again, this is a really trippy subject to go into, but just forgiving the college debt is something I'm about 50% in support of that.
I'm not in support of that at all. You knew what you were getting into. You took the risk. It's up to you to pay off the risk. I do believe 100% the college is inflated. It's way too overpriced. But it's not about the degree. It's about if I see a regular guy and then I see a guy with a degree, I know the guy with the degree is either able to get it or he wants it more because he did what he had to get it, period. And there is always like this guy who doesn't have a degree, he could be a lot more motivated, but it doesn't matter because this guy was able to afford class, which means he's probably going to have less vehicle problems. He'll be able to show up to work. He's not, his clothing is going to be, he's going to represent the company well. It just doesn't matter how big your heart is if you've got the credentials.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I am financially conservative, socially liberal. So those two parts of my brain are like, you cannot just forego all this money we've given out. But these poor people are suffering, and there's something you can do about it. I'm just like,
yeah, as a Republican asshole, I don't have to deal with that.
It's so easy. Like, it really is. It really is so easy to be a fundamental conservative. It's your fault. You shouldn't have done it. Figure out how to get it done like my ancestors had to figure it out. And it's
right.
So easy to be like. And then, like, sure. Your younger 20s, you have that big heart, and everybody's just like, oh, he hasn't suffered enough yet. Let him suffer, and then he'll straighten out. It's like, maybe that's how it worked for you, because it really is that simple, but sometimes you hold up to those more socially liberal views, and then you got to fight that battle in yourself.
Yeah, and it really comes down to, I don't know, because I have like a very hollow look at the world, because when I see people who are like, this person's homeless, we should go help them. Okay, go nuts. But what about the next guy? And then the next one, and then the next one. You don't live in a major city. Like, I've lived in Norfolk, Virginia. When you help one homeless person, they flock to you like seagulls. They are literally swarming. There's only so many times you can do that and help before eventually you just turn cold. So when you got these bleeding hearts out here who are like, yo, save everybody, I'm like, okay, well, why are you buying nice clothes when you can just get average clothes and donate the rest? Well, I need to. There's always a million reasons.
There is, and then you open the can of worms of this person is making this video on their phone explaining why we need to be more socially acceptable while they're holding the product of a slave.
Yep.
This iPhone at Foxconn was made by a slave. 25 cents an hour, suicide netting around the dormitory building because they jump off.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you notice the people who want to help everybody else, they're the coffee drinkers. Okay, and the coffee drinkers are the ones who, they'll go to Starbucks every day. They'll go to a fancy coffee shop every day. Every day. They're wearing expensive, nice clothing with accessories, and they just want to help everybody. You know how much money you're paying for all this extra bullshit to prove a point? We get that you're vegan, cool, but you don't need a vegan bag.
On coffee. Ridiculous.
Exactly. But these coffee drinkers, get out here and let's, we need to, I tip really well my waitresses and stuff like that. And I'm like, imagine if you just donated some more time or money. But no, you'd rather take an Instagram picture with you and your expensive ass mocha, whatever it is. I don't drink coffee, so.
Yeah. And then you go to the other side where you're at that dining experience, and then you treat the person like shit.
Oh yeah, God, I hate that.
I hate, like, I don't even call him a friend. Like, I found out this person likes the same version of the Doctor that I like, and I'm like, I don't like that version of the Doctor because he's associated with you now. You've done this to me. It's your fault. But he's sitting there just dogging this poor waitress over and over. It's like, where the fuck is my stuff? I cannot, this stupid bitch just needs to get my shit. She needs to do her job right. I'm like, you do realize you're 6 months away from being in a position lower than she is. Like, to my knowledge, you're still depending on the friends that you're hanging out with now to get you in an elevated position because you can't get there yourself.
But that waiter, waitress, the way people talk down to those below them, and I'm not saying those folks are below, but I'm just saying for the sake of this scenario, when you go in there
below them, yes, no, I hear you.
You sit at the table and you're like, serve me. Like you get this inflation rate here, but then you've got normal people like me. I sit down and someone's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm good. How are you?" Like, it's not like, "Don't talk to me. I'm just here to eat." It's like, "Hey, you're normal. I'm normal.
I
So don't
can't.
expect me to drop a 20. I'm ordering a burger." Like,
Right, absolutely. And again, I honestly think that goes off in the same direction that you were talking about, and less on an honor and duty to your country thing. But I think a lot of people should have a mandatory service job, like a job where they are mandatorily have to work service.
oh yeah, I could see something like that just being
You need to
amazing.
be humbled. You need to be knocked
Yeah,
down. I had so
but
many people in college that are like, "Is like, where do you work?" I'm like, "Oh, I got this part-time thing at McDonald's." It's like, "McDonald's, that's a bit below your station." I'm like, "No, the fuck it's not."
I
Because
hate
my
when people. I
parents,
have a buddy of mine, and
if
he said, if you're going to work at McDonald's, be the best damn McDonald's employee you can be. Period. And like if you have to work at McDonald's and you don't come out as management, you goofed somewhere.
yeah,
That's what he would say. Like own it, be it. And I was like, that makes sense. And he said, no, if you're going to be a trash collector, you be the best damn trash collector you can. And if that's your career, you better come out of it on top. If you stay at one station for your whole life, the world's not against you. You just suck.
I that is a I halfway believe you, but also there is a bit of a generalization to that, to where certain circumstances apply differently, but in everyday average Joe means yes, no, you're right. But then there are those people that like there's 237 million people. Like there's gonna be a lot of differences somewhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's always good competition, and I used to work at Planet Fitness, and I had a buddy, and we were talking, and he was like, "What are you working at? What do you work at Planet Fitness for?" I said, "What are you talking about? I need a job." He goes, "You don't need a job." I said, I would like to have a job," and he's like, "Why don't you work somewhere nice?" I said, "What the hell's wrong with Planet Fitness?" I said, "It's nice. I get to hang out, chat with people," and he was like, "Oh, I just thought you have, like a suit, go to a job wearing a suit." So well, that ain't me, dude. Like, I don't care how
Yeah.
wealthy or respectable or whatever you think I am. I'm gonna work whatever job will take me for whatever pay they're given, and I'm gonna enjoy it. Like, just be where you're being.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It really is difficult for a lot of people to understand that they can be put in their place very quickly.
Very quickly, but they're all that's that damn privilege again.
I mean, it's like it really is a lot of it, and I've never really seen like because it. And I say this with some hesitancy, but it kind of is white people though. Like you don't really find any blacks or Hispanics that are like McDonald's, Walmart. No, that's beneath me. No, you find those people. Job's a job. Get better somewhere else. But like, and again, like any person I've ever heard anything of something is below me, it's mostly a white dude whose parents are pretty well off.
Yeah, I would agree with that. In my experience, I think a lot of, but I also don't think it's a. I don't think it's like they're not better because they're white, but I do think the generalization of it is like they just happen to be white and they're like,
No,
that's below
exactly.
me. Yeah.
The point. It's because there are plenty of white males that will run to that job fair.
Right.
But through their birth, through their heritage and race, they and their ancestry have been put to the position to where they assume that it is below them.
Yeah, 100%. That happens all the time.
But no, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's too common.
Oh, it's almost guaranteed. Like maybe in like 10 years there will be some black families that make it up that ladder to where they will have the privilege and the luck of having children that can declare that. But right now that's not happening.
But I just think it's funny when people who really aren't above that station say stuff like that, because I'm like,
that's the same. That's the same thing that kid was talking about.
Yeah,
like
they say stuff, and I'm like, are we looking at the same you? Because
yeah, so like you need to remove that filter off the mirror you're looking at. You are not Narcissus. You are you. You're just some random ass side character who gets in a word for.
I tell people that. Really, someone will say something like, "Bro, you're just a side character. Like you ain't even the main character in your own story. Like you need to figure some shit out."
That is funny though, like, because like a lot of people, because they have that view on themselves, they are like, I'm the main character, and then they have a person that is a side character in their story. That person's a main character in their own story. I hate this backlighting, God help me, but like they're a main character in their own story, and like then they're like, he didn't support me, and or she or my friend didn't love me like they should. It's like, no, they got their own shit to worry about. They're not just like in standby mode when you're not
Yeah,
associated with
exactly. And I think when people accept that, man, it's so freeing. You
it. It
stop
really is.
expecting so much of other people because you realize they've got some shit going on. And like, and most people are they'll choose their topics to talk on or whatever. But I'll throw this one in here. When it comes to love and heartbreak, we always see ourselves as the victim. Always.
Yeah, absolutely.
So left me and it ruined my life. I had a girl that I really cared for. She left me. She broke up with a man, hooked up with me, went back to her guy. So
Yeah.
in that time, man, I was living the dream. I was there. It was great. And she went back to this dude, and I was like, God, I am just in this terrible. And then I said, you know what? She left this guy, and she was with me, and she enjoyed being with me. I know this, but can you imagine how heartbroken she must have been that I'm not that guy? So then she had to have the strength to go back to that guy.
Or
Like
that guy who was just left and was in the position that you yourself are in now.
Exactly. So I went through these stages where I'm like, well, let me put myself in her position. Let me put myself in his position. I hate that dude. If I saw him somewhere, I'd punch him out. But you know what? I would hit him and I'd say, it's not you, man. Like it's just a situation.
About you.
Exactly. But I'm not the main character in her story.
Not anymore. But
exactly.
And that's another thing. Drugs will let you know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would imagine so.
Like, what was it? It was at a bachelor party. And
oh.
Okay, damn. I hope that. Anyway, we may have to cut this short. I don't know. Like, I'm getting some.
2 hours.
Yeah, no, we're in 2 hours. Hey, let's just cut it short because I know this person's just going to keep calling. So, I mean, 2 hours is great. It could have been in 30 minutes and ruined the whole thing, but 2 hours is good. Just real quick, run off social media, your books and everything, and I'll link down to Amazon, everything. Let everybody know where you're at and who you are.
Yeah, really, that's it. If you want to find me on Facebook, it's just Joshua Lee on Facebook. I think I've got a Twitter at Real Joshua America. I have to start using that. But Amazon, you can type in Shadows and Other Beings or Joshua Lee. You'll find me. And other than that, I don't have much social media presence because I suck at that right now, but we're going to learn it.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, again, YouTube somebody who's good at social media. They'll get there.
Yeah, I'm going to find a way.
All right, man. Well, we're definitely going to have you back on, man. I don't know when. I'm trying not to put people too close together, but we're going to get you back on, and maybe we'll be able to do a real promotional push for your video, and maybe I'll have enough listeners to where it'll actually matter.
Well, I think you'll get there. You're so far. This was good, nice, casual. Everything flowed well. So I wish the best for you and for your podcast.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
All right, brother.